Hi guys, I just wanted to do something a little bit different today and just show you a little project I've been working on for the last month or so. So what I've got here, I don't know if this will be of any interest to anyone watching the channel, hopefully it will. So what I've done here is I've modified slightly, well, more than slightly, modified a Denix Replica Walther PPK. Let's just give you a quick look. So I've done a few things here. So for those people not familiar, Denix make these Replica Walther PPKs. When they're made in Spain, they're okay. They're pretty good straight out of the box. They're not too bad. I mean, you know, they're not real guns. Obviously, they're based on a real gun. I think some of the dimensions are probably different. You know. But they're not bad. They're okay. They cock, you know, like the real thing, and dry fire. You know, you can cock them like that, and dry fire. Magazine comes out. All that kind of stuff. So it's okay. As a replica, it's pretty good. Now. When I was pretty happy with this when I got it. I mean, I think that they're fair. They're not a bad replica, really. One thing that I really bought this for was I wanted to make a replica of like the James Bond Walther PPK. I'm sure most people that buy PPKs, they're buying them because of James Bond, right? So yeah, I wanted to make like a fairly good replica of a PPK, or something, you know, try and make it as realistic looking as I possibly could. Now, I should just preface this by saying that, you know, I am not in any way, shape, or form a model maker, or, you know, I'm not proficient really in anything like that. But with my limited skills and resources, I did the best job I could. So really this video is just about what I did, how I did it, the problems I came across, what worked, what didn't, and, you know, sort of a word of warning for anyone that wanted to try the same thing themselves, I suppose. So what did I change? Okay, so first of all, here's what I did. I put a serial number on it. Quite a wonky serial number, but yeah, that's one of the things that didn't turn out too great, but you know, it gives it a bit of individuality. Also, before anyone points out, I'm aware of the fact the numbers are different. I did that on purpose. These numbers are my that's my birthday, 280481, and in fact, it's not that far removed from this serial number. If you look, I've only changed every other number. But I just wanted to do that because most PPKs you see, especially the older ones, you know, this is sort of based on the sort of 70s and 80s PPK, you know, of kind of Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton era. So, yeah, I wanted to try and make it look sort of vintage, so to speak. So, you know, a lot of the vintage ones, they have badly stamped numbers on them anyway. So, it's, you know, in that regard, I suppose you could say it looks fairly authentic. But I think it looks okay, you know. So I put that on. That was by far the hardest thing I did. Putting that on was really, really tough. Mainly because you have to have a flat metal solid base behind what you're stamping. And to find something that I could use to put behind that was really difficult. In the end, I used a vice that came with a kind of anvil type attachment to it that I was able to slip in between the slide, okay, so I could hammer it. But stamping, the first thing I'd say as a word of warning to anyone who wants to do their own stamping, stamping is really, really difficult, okay. You need a really heavy hammer. You need to have, as I said, the right equipment to rest this on, so you've got enough metal mass behind it. And then getting it straight, oh my god, that is difficult. I actually messed this up the first time. I actually stamped it here. And you may or may not be able to see in the light, I had to redo the paint job on that. You can see it a little bit there raised in the light. So I had to fill that with like a sort of, I don't know what it was, like sort of metal filler, file it down as best I could, and then redid it here. But I still screwed it up because it is just so hard to get the spacing right. So number one thing I'd change if I did this again is I would probably practice until I could get this looking better. But, you know, it's done now. So, you know, I quite like it. Like I say, it makes it individual. Next thing I did, as you can see here, well, you probably don't know actually if you've never seen this gun before, but this comes painted black, this inner barrel bit here. And if you look at all the sort of vintagey PPKs, the black ones, they have silver there. So the first thing I did was take all of the paint off of there to expose the metal underneath. Okay. I took off here. It originally says, because it's a Denix Replica. And you can see here I've removed that there. It says Denix made in Spain, which I hate it when you get replicas that say that. It's just, ugh. So I filed that off, got rid of it, got it down nice flat. I mean, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a few bumps and things, but, you know, it is what it is. I think it looks better like that. What else have I done? I've drilled a hole where the dot should be. This does not come with a dot. It's just black there. So I drilled the dot there and painted that red to look more authentic. That I'm really pleased with actually. That wasn't that easy to do. I had to use several different drill parts and a stamp and things like that to get that the way it was. And by the way, if anyone is interested in what I did specifically, you can ask me in the comments and I can reply to any questions that you have. Okay. About specific tools I used or anything like that. If you're interested, probably no one's interested, but if you are, just let me know. I can tell you all of that stuff. So I did that on the gun. I think that's more or less it. I actually moved the barrel. I'll tell you one thing I did do. I moved the slide forward a bit. So without boring anyone, when you take these apart, there's videos online you can see about taking the Denix apart. But if you take the Denix apart, there's a little piece of metal in here that sits by the slide, and there's a little piece of metal that comes down that it sits against, and it stops the slide from going too far forward. But the trouble is, on the Denix, one thing I really don't like is normally the slide sits too far back. And this silver bit here is exposed and you can see past it. It just looks really rubbish. So one thing I did was I filed down the piece of metal in here so that the slide sits a little bit further forward. Okay, now you lose a little bit of the barrel protruding there, but that doesn't really matter too much because I'm mainly using this with a silencer that I modified, which I will show you in a minute. So that was another thing I did. And then I sprayed the whole gun with metallic paint. I wasn't going to do that. I was only going to spray over like the bits where I had filed and where I made a mistake here. I was just going to spray those, but I got the colour wrong and I ended up spraying the whole gun But I was so impressed with the paint, I thought, actually, it looks pretty good. It's a lot darker than it would be, but I don't know, it looks pretty cool. I mean, I don't think the paint's going to last very long. You can already see here it's starting to come off a bit. And on the top. I put a little bit of red there, by the way, because if you look at a lot of... it's for the sight, right? So if this was a real gun, you'd be looking down it and you'd want to see the... It's not going to focus. But you'd want to see the red in between, right? Oh, it's just, again, just another little detail that I wanted to add on there that makes it different from other guns, kind of make it more sort of realistic looking. So yeah, I painted it, sprayed it. Yeah, the paint's probably not going to last that long, but you know what? Again, I don't really care because it kind of it had a weathered look anyway, and I quite like sort of things that are a bit worn in. So I think when the paint chips a little bit, it's already starting to come off in a few places. But, you know, it makes it look a bit more weathered, a bit more used, a bit more vintage, which is what I like. So, yeah, I think that was everything I did for the gun. Oh, I'll show you in a minute. So this gun actually came with a pre-threaded barrel. I originally was going to thread it more, so it was deeper. And by the way, this is a 10mm barrel. If anyone wants to do this, you'll need a 10mm thread, okay? That's very important because that was something that threw me a little bit in the early stages of this mod. So, M10, basically. That's what you want. Anyway, this gun originally did come with a silencer. There's a bit of paint's come off there, I think. Yeah. So this gun did originally come with a silencer, but I wasn't too impressed with it for a couple of reasons. Well, the main reason I wasn't impressed was because the silencer didn't arrive with the gun that I ordered, which was a bit weird. I opened up the box and it wasn't there. So the guy refunded me my money. So it was fine. And then I got a bit of money off the gun, so it was fine. But anyway, I didn't like the look of even from the pictures, I didn't like the look of the silencer. It was always my intention that I was going to probably get another one, which I did. So I don't want this video to go on too long, so I'll just tell you real quick. So this is the silencer that I got. It's an airsoft silencer. I can't tell you the exact model. Again, if anyone's interested, send me a message or a comment and I'll tell you exactly what it was. But this was actually quite hard to modify because it's not made for this gun, right? So here's what I had to do. The original thread had the wrong pitch, so I had to rethread the screw in, which is 14mm on the silencer. I had to rethread it with a different pitch, so I had to widen the pitch because the pitch is the distance between the thread here, okay? So I had to redo that. That was a really hard job, actually. That was almost as difficult as stamping the barrel. I did that. Then I got a double-ended screw, one that was 10mm for the barrel, one that was 14mm for the silencer. And then I could screw that in. This fit the barrel perfectly, amazingly. I got it off eBay, so that was a good buy. I screwed that into the thread that I had made, glued it in, and then this is just a plastic washer, okay? I had to resize that and screw it on, but that's on nice and tight. Yeah? So that was very highly modified, and then this screws on really well. Look, I actually didn't have to rethread the barrel at all because I managed to get it lining up more or less exact. There's a little bit of a gap, but nothing too noticeable. But anyway, that is awesome. Look at that. Let me take this off so you can get a better look at it. How cool is that? So that silencer is a lot thicker than the one that the Denix normally comes with. And I think you'll agree, it just looks so much cooler. It's a bit shorter as well. I forget the measurements now. Anyway, there you go. So all in all, I'm pretty pleased with it. Yeah, there was a few things, like I say, the serial number didn't work out 100% the way I would have liked. But, you know, it was a learning process. I did the best I could. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with it, I have to say. So yeah, there we go. I'll leave it there because I don't want this to drag on. But if you've got any questions about anything that I did, anything that you want to know, as I said, specifics about the tools I used, or just anything I may have forgotten to mention, just let me know. And if you think about doing anything like this yourself, just take into account the problems I had and, try and avoid them yourself, I guess. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. And, yeah, any questions, just ask.